Royster,
Yes, sir.
what's up?
Not much, my brother. How you doing?
Oh man, everything is all right. Glad to be
Yeah.
back here in the chair this morning.
All right. Big shout out to Twanda Stallworth who filled in for you. She did a great job.
Oh, I was about to say that, man.
All
Too bad she doesn't have any opinions.
right.
You need to find somebody next time when I'm not here who has some opinions, not a snowflake.
I'm not sure Twanda would agree with you on that, but anyway, that's all good.
Yeah, right. We know she has opinions, so
Absolutely.
we could both just like move out the way and just let her just take the show, which wouldn't be a bad thing for all of us. So thank you,
Great.
Tawanda. Certainly appreciate you, and glad to know that you are out there. And but Tawanda, I'm not surprised. Tawanda has been kind of like following some of these shows for some time, so it
Mhm.
just makes sense. I always thought that she had that anyway. So who knew about her radio background and her, So it's
Yes.
all good. And Kwesa, glad to see you this morning.
Good morning.
Well, Kwasa's like, oh, I'm trying to get my coffee.
Sorry.
Oh man,
Koisa, how
so
was your ride? Oh, go ahead.
no. We gotta get weather traffic. You know
That's
that.
right. How was your ride in today, Koisa?
It wasn't too bad. Oops, I can't even hear myself. There we go. It wasn't too bad. I can't complain, and it's a little chillier today than it has been before, but it felt nice outside, so I was appreciative.
Gotcha. Gotcha. We appreciate that. How was the traffic, though?
There was no traffic. I didn't
No
honestly. I
traffic.
was I was lucky with that. Usually, I mean, if things are kind of going back to how they were, Fridays didn't have too much traffic, prior. So I'll see if the same trend kind of continues. But I know like this whole week it was like, okay, it's a lot of people on the road. But well, usually on Fridays though, it's not too bad.
Man,
Gotcha.
let me tell you, traffic is a beast. It's back. I mean, may not be this morning as early as Kuwait rolls out, but it is like it's no joke. I mean, I keep running into stuff where I'm like, what? Where's everybody going? It's 2 p.m. Like,
Dude,
really?
it is really crazy back out there again. Last week I rode back down from Pennsylvania going down to Maryland, and man, the traffic took me 3 hours. I was like, what is this? And it wasn't like any construction, wasn't any accidents. It was just volume. And I'm like,
Yeah,
wow. People are
yeah.
like itching to get out and get up back on the road.
Yep. So, hey, listen, folks, do us a big favor if you're listening this morning on Facebook Live or on YouTube, hit the share button and bring your friends and families into this, the Power Hour, brought to you every Monday through Friday here at WURD Radio from
Hmm.
6 a.m. to 7 a.m., also known as the warm up show for Solomon and Wake Up with Word. We're warming the crowd up for
Is that what it
him.
is? Okay.
Well, he got 3 hours. We have one.
Uh-huh.
So yeah, so I remember those 3 hour shows. Oh boy. It's like after you finish the second hour, you're like ready to go. And it's like, do we really have one more hour? Does anybody really care? 9 o'clock? We've already talked about this from like 7 to 9.
Well, wait a minute.
So yeah,
I got 2 more hours later today.
that's
So
like
just
one.
don't say
Yeah,
that.
but that's separated. You got a whole
Yeah.
day in between. There's Friday night. Friday night, I'm telling you, it's grueling. 7 to 10. Kwesa will tell you it is grueling, and folk don't have enough appreciation for it. So we're here warming you all up, and I want you to stay around all morning and get all the news that is good for you and our takes on them. So listen, I mean, there is so much to cover, and we only have an hour to do it. So can we just jump right into this?
Go for it.
Um, all right, so I know all the usual suspect stories are out there, but I just have to stop with honorable mention of this one story. We won't stay here long, but this is why I tell my wife to this day, if I take the trash out, I literally carry my ID. And she's like,
Oh,
come on,
for
dude.
real. I did. I
She's
get
like,
it.
she's like, come on, the garbage, you're at home.
Mm.
In California, body cam footage has come out of an arrest of a black man Police were actually looking for a white man. It's a domestic violence call. Now, at the time, they didn't have a description they didn't even know who they were looking for. The body cam footage shows them walking up like, is this the guy? No, it said, quote, is this the dude? The other cop, probably. Is this the dude? Probably. They have no description. The 911 caller at one point tries to interject to get them to stand down. And but they still go on and take the guy. He was taking the trash out at his own apartment when he's arrested. And they were looking for a white guy, ultimately.
Oh, wow. Oh, wow.
Yeah, maybe he's albino. I don't know.
Wow. But you know what? Honestly, I do the same thing. I don't leave the house without ID.
Yeah, those are
when
your
I go out to walk the dog around the block, I have ID on me.
Bro, those are your slave papers.
Unfortunately, yes, they are.
And this guy was 42 years old.
Wow. So it wasn't like wasn't yeah. Wow.
No, this is not a kid. No. This is not a kid. This is like our generation. And I'm saying that in my mid-50s that I still rock my ID if I walk out to the sidewalk.
Yep.
Because I know doggone well what can happen in my own neighborhood.
Well, look, I mean, what's happened to black folk that were walking their dogs, right? That's why I take my ID. I'm going around the block, just walking the dog, and, I have ID on me because I'm like, no, this stopped me. I live here.
I mean,
what are you doing in this neighborhood?
Bro,
why, whose dog is that?
Right. It's stolen.
It's stolen. Well, actually, I've had somebody roll up on me trying to claim that my dog was their dog. Because I have a Bichon Frise, and they rolled up like, that's my dog. And I'm like, it's not your dog. My dog is chipped. I know, because when I got the dog, I was like, this dog better be chipped. And I have the dog chipped. And literally somebody rolled up on me and tried to accuse me of stealing their dog.
Oh, yeah. I remember this. I only remember it because you said Bichon Frise.
Yes. Yes.
I never heard that before until I heard you say it the first time.
Oh, really?
I'm old school, pit bulls and Rottweilers. I mean, that's all and German Shepherds.
I wanted this big dog that was part Dane, part Lab, but the dog was too wild. It was a puppy at the time, and the dog was wild, scared my wife to death. But she saw this little dog that she just fell in love with, that thought this dog would be great. And so we wound up getting this little 15-pound dog that I look ridiculous walking. I just want to say that.
Yeah, well, listen, I mean, but the point, listen, I mean, I bring this up because, when we get to kind of the meat of the rest of these stories today, whether it is the trial of Derek Chauvin and the killing of George Floyd, whether you're talking about the ways in which people are interpreting gun violence, and all these other stories, that this small moment speaks volumes to the precarious ways that it's always been an unsafe place in this country for black people, whether you were free or not. I mean, remember the movie 12 Years a Slave?
Yep.
And so here's was Solomon Northup or something of that. I can't remember his full name, but this guy is accused of being an enslaved person, carted off and spent 12 years in slavery to work his way back home. Richard Allen, founder of the AME Church, was accused of being an escaped enslaved person. And he was like one of the most famous Philadelphians. His fame and celebrity is what saved him, right? Mm-hmm. And so here we are right now, still in 2021. And yes, Tawanda, you have to take, as a black man especially, you have to carry your ID every single place you go. They are your slave papers to show that you are free. And and I would add this. Make sure you got a good white friend who can vouch for you at all times.
Well, oh geez.
Am I lying?
No.
Have you ever been in the middle of something where the cops are talking to you and like your white friend interjects, hold on, let me tell you, officers. And it's like,
I've had that happen.
Well, why didn't you say so? Of course we believe you now. Because your white friend says, I am not making this up. So I got tons of white friends. It's not Hey, all right. Now, see, I know some of my friends listen to this show. Now they're like, Is Mark just using us? No. That's not it.
Oh, geez.
But you do have some benefits. It's the absolute stunning truth that, this guy is carrying the garbage out. The cops literally do not even have a description, and is that the dude? What does his friend say? Probably. Why? Probably.
Wow.
Heck, he's black.
He's black. That's all it is. He's black. That was the only thing.
So let's talk about Derek Chauvin. What's that? Oh, no, go ahead.
Yeah, because, we need to play the music.
Oh, wait, so you got it? We saw something in the water. I don't hear it.
I don't hear it either.
All right, well, Quasi, you just interject it whenever you're ready. We'll stop what we're doing. Oh, there it is. People, that is our official music when there is a Nick Talaferro sighting. Nick is in Facebook right now. I want all you all to be careful, because anybody who has a show that's called Evening Words with Nick, you sure don't want to hear his morning game. Watch it. Woo, y'all stay away from Nick until 4 o'clock.
All I'm saying is Nick said that the show was 50% better looking yesterday.
Wow.
He said he ain't scared.
Yeah, he's right about that, though. He's absolutely right about it. So yesterday, and we'll pick up the trial on the other side of the break. So the other big story of yesterday is what happened at the White House with Joe Biden. And this has been a huge day for Faith in Action, our network, and the Live Free campaign, the National Live Free campaign. Shout out to Reverend Pastor Mike McBride and the amazing organizers who have been lobbying for a long time. So in Oakland, where a lot of the Live Free work originated, they have, a lot of people use the title ceasefire. Ceasefire it's used in Philly in a couple of different ways. But out there, it is really about, this evidence-based gun violence intervention. And they've had a lot of success in bringing homicides down. At one point, one year, they reduced homicides by like 60% in Oakland. My city's hometown is extremely violent, like Philadelphia. And so, but what happens is when you get into the gun violence conversation, it is often, goes off track. So in the Biden plan, Biden actually lifts up that, and some of them were actually there at the announcement yesterday. And this is an important day for people who recognize that gun violence is not a simple thing to cure. And so if you're interested in learning more, you can check out the hashtag #FundPeace, #FundPeace, or check out Live Free USA. But there was a lot of excitement on yesterday, and yet it all got reduced down to this. So yesterday I was out, and I was far from Philly, and you're driving back. Well, I was on the bike, and you're coming back, and you're like tired, and you want to wake up. So you could either like stop and throw water on your face. I turn on conservative radio. So I just missed Sean Hannity, and there was some guy came on behind him, and this guy jumps into just berating Joe Biden about the crisis at the border, saying that's the real crisis in America. That's the crisis they don't want to talk about, blah, 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 blah. He says, they want you to believe the crisis is gun violence. There's no gun violence crisis. And literally, check this out. He says, and I'm paraphrasing him, but I'm not that far off, because I was on the bike. I couldn't write it down, but I wanted to. He says, the gun violence problem is just a bunch of young black kids, he said that part, young black kids, shooting and killing other young black kids in American cities. They're just the crazies killing the crazies.
Wow.
We don't have a gun violence problem. That's their stuff.
Wow. Wow. Well, I mean, Trump unleashed all their craziness and allowed them to say whatever they wanted to say, especially in conservative talk spaces, right? And so basically he's saying, this is a black people's problem, and let it be their problem. Let them all kill each other. We're okay with that. And let's worry about trying to prevent these brown folk from coming in across the border. That's where the real crisis is. So not to mention the fact that they're actually part of that attitude is a part of the reason why we have these problems that we're dealing with right now.
Can you believe that, though?
Yeah, actually I can. Conservative talk radio, absolutely. I mean, they say anything they want to say and do whatever they want to do and have no repercussions for it. So, sure. I can absolutely believe it. Absolutely.
It's just, the lack of empathy, right? The lack of care. It'd be like, there's gun violence in Appalachia. That's just a bunch of poor white folk killing poor white folk. That ain't no real problem. It's like, dude, even if it's not, you're talking about, one of my AME friends, and I'll say because she put it on social media. So Diane Dixon, who goes to Morris Brown, and if you're AME in the area, you know Diane. She's an incredible music director, directs a lot of the music for our combined choirs, and actually loaned her voice in our musical presentation that we recorded for Easter. So, she goes to sleep on Easter Sunday, probably feeling great. It's Easter. And in the morning, wakes up and finds out her grandson had been shot in Philly, in the stomach and in the leg. And he's been going through surgeries all week long. He survived, thankfully, but he's going to have a long road ahead of himself. Her daughter is distraught. And so, so that story, is that significant to you? Because it's not, I don't know, like some white guy who got shot? That the only stories that deserve or warrant our attention are like mass shootings that happen with, white men and white women in places like Colorado, that is a real tragedy, but these other stories are not, because it's quote unquote young black kids killing other young black kids, just a bunch of crazies killing other crazies.
Yep, pretty much told you what he thought.
That again, I said that opening story ties into everything, does it not? Absolutely. The cops who go out to respond to a domestic violence call, they don't even know, but they're looking for a white guy. They see a black man taking the trash out of his own home, and they ask each other, is that the dude? Probably. Yep. All right, it's 6:21, already over time. I know you all are probably much more disciplined this week, so I don't want to come and mess up things on the show. We got to take a quick break. This is the Power Hour. Hit the share button, bring your friends and family in. Give us your thoughts in social media on Facebook Live or YouTube, and happy to read them out. We'll be right back on the other side to talk about the trial of Derek Chauvin.
We are people of resilience, so let's protect our lives with vaccines we can trust. We can do this.
To learn more about COVID-19 vaccines, visit cdc.gov/coronavirus. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
In these days of isolation, being home with a medically fragile child is especially challenging. Mars Care has been helping families deal with this challenge since 1984. Mars Care understands the special healthcare needs these young patients require and is ready to provide skilled nursing, rehabilitative therapies, and home health aid services. Mars Care is here to help their families get through this difficult time. For more information, go to marscare.com. That's marscare.com.
The Sankofa Freedom Academy Charter School is an African-centered public freedom school that is looking for experienced, certified teachers in kindergarten through 12th grade for the 2021-22 school year. These positions are full-time and come with full health, vision, dental, and retirement benefits. Salary is comparable to the School District of Philadelphia. Interested parties should send their resume and cover letter via email to careers@sfacs.us. For more information, visit sfacs.us.
Spring forward with premium nutrition meals. Enjoy a variety of new exciting entrees along with rewards and referrals program that pays you to eat and tell. As always, everything is chef crafted, freshly prepared, and delivered to your door. Just visit premiumnutritionmeals.com. Word listeners get $10 off 6 meals or more. Enter code PREMIUMWORD at checkout.
The WURD Radio Newsletter, keeping you informed, engaged, and connected. Sign up by visiting wordradio.com. Scroll to the bottom of the page and type your email address under Connect with Us. You'll receive the latest information on WURD Radio, messages from our president and CEO, Sarah Lomax Reese, exclusive articles and multimedia content, and resources. Stay informed with the WURD Radio Newsletter.
You're listening to WURD Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD, independent black media.
Welcome back to the Power Hour. This is Dwayne Royster along with Mark Kelly Tyler. We're here Monday through Fridays from 6 a.m. to 7 a.m. to bring you the latest in news, happenings around Philadelphia, and, of course, our opinions. And we have plenty of them. We welcome back, Reverend Tyler. Glad to see that you were here with us today. And I want to thank Tawanda Starworth for sitting in for the last week. She was really doing a great job. Appreciate her so much.
Yeah. And apparently Robert says she has better hair than me. She actually has hair.
Yeah.
He said the show had better hair yesterday. Like, you all, thank you. I love you too, all of you. I love Bernadette on YouTube wants to welcome, I think she's welcoming me back. She says, welcome back, Mr. Royster. I mean, you know, that's the problem. All black preachers look alike. Like, I don't know. Which one? The preacher, that one. She's like the LAPD. Is that the dude? Probably. I'm going to get that as a T-shirt. Is that the dude? But on the back, probably.
Oh, that's fun.
And one last thing before the Chauvin trial. Speaking of, is that the dude? Probably. In North Carolina, a man spent 44 years in prison, black man, for a rape he did not commit.
Wow.
Is that the dude? Probably. And so North Carolina compensated him. Problem is they put a cap on their compensation at 15 years. So they pay you $50,000 per year when they wrongfully, incarcerate you. So they're like, we know you spent 44 years, 65-year-old Mr. Long, but we're only going to pay you for 15. So he got $750,000 for his time. Took away an entire lifetime. 44 years is a career in any profession.
Yep.
At 65, you're supposed to be ready to retire.
That's right.
What is he going to do with 750?
Not much.
Who sets that? Let me ask you a real question. So this compensation cap at 750, did God send that down from on high?
I don't think so.
Oh. Was that like written in the U.S. Constitution?
No.
How did who set that amount?
That was an arbitrary amount set by whatever government put it in place probably some decades ago.
Hence, elections have consequences.
Absolutely. Every election's got a consequence. There are judges being elected this time around. Y'all should be watching out for that. DAs being elected this time around. Y'all should be watching out for that. Elections have consequences. Just like we talked about yesterday, State Rep Park Cannon down in Atlanta, the DA in Atlanta refused to press charges against her for knocking on the governor's door when she got arrested. Elections have consequences.
Right. And in St. Louis, they're showing some positive results. Thank you, Aunt Young, for reminding us to congratulate the first black woman mayor of the Loop, St. Louis. I can call it the Loop because I used to live near there. I was ordained in St. Louis on one of my ordinations. Tashara Jones, the Honorable Tashara Jones, the new mayor of St. Louis. And yeah, it's okay, Bernadette, that you called me Royster. I told you, we're black preachers. They're always confusing us.
They weren't confusing you and I. Trust me, they weren't confusing you and I.
Hey, if it was the Philly PD, so Dwayne is what? How you're like 6 what?
6'3.5", yeah.
6'3.5", light skin. I'm 5'8", dark skin, no hair. The police would walk up. They'd have his description. They'd see me. They'd say, "Is that the dude?" Probably.
You know that's right. You know that's right.
Probably. Says here he's 6'3", light skin. Yeah, you know what they say. He's a black preacher. They all look alike. Is that the dude? Probably. We could do an entire segment on that every day on this show.
Yeah. Yeah.
So speaking of, is that the dude? Man, oh man. Man. White America has decided that Derek Chauvin is going to be the sacrificial lamb that will be thrown upon the fire to prevent this summer from having a repeat. I'm surprised they haven't brought his mama out yet to testify against him.
Man, I keep saying every day, if he doesn't get caught, I mean, he needs to have second-degree murder assigned to him, because if he does anything less than that, the country's going to explode. He's
going to get it. You know that? I mean, so at this point, listen, the pulmonary expert yesterday, oh my God. I mean, I couldn't listen to it all. It's just too much to bear. And I know a lot of people are in the same boat. I really feel for those jurors who are probably like, please stop. We have heard enough. We do not need to hear another day. We're ready to go ahead and convict this guy. But the fact that you got your own chief of police, which is unprecedented, coming out against you, other law enforcement officers coming out against you, the blue wall in this case is not held for him like it always has. And now you got this expert who, by the way, was not paid by anybody to be there. He's the world's foremost expert in his field, where he explains things like the windpipe. It's really just, it was very, very painful to listen to. So you do have a sense that by the time they're finished, it will be hard for the defense to continue to maintain what is absolutely weak, which is that the crowd was loud. He feared for his life. They were distracting him. I'm like, come on, dude. Seriously, he had his hands in his pocket. He was not afraid of anybody. And so you have a sense that he's going to get convicted. Do you see, you do see second degree?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it has to go to the highest level. There's absolutely, I mean, honestly, from my opinion, and I'm not a lawyer, so I deal with religious law, not civil law. But the fact that part of this whole thing has been the fact that he was actually a trainer on de-escalation techniques for the Minneapolis Police Department. And actually their director of training out there came out and talked about the fact he was taught de-escalation techniques. He was taught how to deal with mental health folk. He knows all the rules about, holding people down, cutting off wind, all that stuff. The fact that he continued to stay on top of this guy, in my mind, turns from second degree to first degree, because it now became intentional. Now, I'm not the lawyer, to be able to determine intent. I know Judge McCabe is on here. Perhaps she could give some more insight to that. But it just seems to me from the conversation I was having, at a certain point, he knew what he was doing. And he knew that he was doing was going to lead to this guy's death, lead to George Floyd's death. And that, to me, becomes intent at that point, intentional, with the capacity to make a decision about the fact of what he was doing. And that's what I have trouble with. I'm like, I don't think these charges are enough at this particular point. I just don't think they're enough.
You think it should have been first degree?
I think it should have been first degree. This was intentional.
Yeah, well, you know what? So, think about it. So DAs charge what they reasonably think they can get. They probably look back now like you thinking like, well, heck, if we knew that the daggone chief of police and all these other cops and the guy who trained him in de-escalation and this expert, if we knew all of them were going to come out against him, we probably could have gone first degree and gotten first degree, which would have been rare and unusual. But here's my caution. My word of caution to all of us who are watching this. It's so, you know, folk like CNN and others this is a turning point. The blue wall is chipping. I heard former Chief Ramsey on as an analyst the other day when I was riding and listening to him, and he was kind of like, you know, getting in on that same thing, like, this is a change. We're seeing something change. This is not a culture shift, folks.
No, this is a one-time thing.
Yeah, people are going to still be deferential to law enforcement in spite of all the crazy stuff we keep hearing.
Yep.
Right? And so this is about what happened last summer and preventing it from happening this summer. If, you know, man, last summer, I think sometimes we live in such silos, and plus we were in during COVID with the lockdown, so a lot of folk were not able to get out of their areas.
Right.
You know, I rode the motorcycle throughout because it was safe. I mean, social distancing at its best. Get a little gas, and I can ride for hours anywhere, and I'm not going to come in contact with anybody. And I think I remember, I don't know if you remember me telling you this in the height of the uprising. Man, I'm riding through Bucks County in these little towns like Doylestown and even smaller places than that. I mean, because Doylestown is actually that's the center of the county for Bucks. But these little bitty towns, man, they had their windows boarded up.
Oh yeah.
And signs like Black Lives Matter. don't tear up my bakery. And I'm thinking to myself, do y'all really think, I mean, it got me when I was in Chestnut Hill. And I'm like, do you really think somebody's coming way up here? But the psyche of what happened last summer, so terrified white folk that I'm telling you, like I said, I don't know if we fully appreciate how scared it made white people last year. And that I think there's just kind of a gentleman's agreement across the country, like, Derek, you must go. Because we're not going to let anything else get burned down and tore up for you. And then it flares up again with Walter Wallace in Philadelphia. And so I just think this is a one-off. I don't think we'll ever see another police chief get up and testify against their own cop ever again.
Well, I mean, but I think part of it, the other piece of this is, and I think Tim said this too, it's like this guy's had numerous complaints about him before. And now because they didn't do anything, they got to throw him under the bus, right? This isn't just about George Floyd. This is about the fact that they have a bad system that allows bad cops to continue to operate on a daily basis. You know, I mean, but here's the other thing, though. I just want to, when talking about urgent caution, not just about this trial, but we haven't seen the defense get up there yet. And we don't know who the defense is going to drag out at this point that's going to refute all of the issues that are here. I mean, the defense has really done a serious job of trying to bring the fact that George Floyd had methamphetamines and had fentanyl in his system. You know, they claim now after months, it was actually, I was reading one of the articles about this, that evidently they went back and searched Chauvin's car, and they found 2 half-used pills that had George Floyd's genetic material on it that were the half methamphetamine, half fentanyl pills. I don't know exactly what medicine total, what they called the medicine together, but this was months after George Floyd had been in the car. So I'm just sort of like, you're kidding me, right? So, but I don't know what they're going to roll out, who the defense is going to roll out, what experts they're going to roll out. So I'm just preparing for the fact that we're probably about to go through a bit of a roller coaster once the defense takes over and begins to lead on the trial. They're going to bring out their own set of experts. They're going to bring out their own set of witnesses from the police department. You know, granted, the chief is really important. The director of training is very important. His lieutenant and sergeant's important. They're probably going to roll out some of the other officers that were there that day that will testify that Floyd was, you know, acting out of himself. He's acting crazy. He thought drugs in the system. He was still resisting. You know, they're going to say all kinds of things. So I just think we need to be prepared for the roller coaster that's going to be this trial. And I think regardless of what happens in this trial, there will be folk taking to the streets when this is over with.
Yeah, I hear you, but and Gary agrees with you on social. He says it's way too early to do a victory dance. Look, I don't call that a victory dance, even with him being convicted of second degree. What I'm saying is that, so there's a way that we see this, and I say we, the majority of black people in this country, not exclusively, but the vast majority of black people. And I think sometimes we forget that there is another conversation and a different calculation happening. And that is a conversation among white people that has nothing to do with us. Right? It is not. And so there are 8 white jurors who are having can you imagine the pressure on them right now? I mean, they're not thinking about, to a degree they're thinking, yeah, did he do it? Did he not do it? But they're also thinking that if we let this guy go and this country erupts again, folk gonna be looking at us. And is he worth it?
Right.
This man, who you just said has had previous complaints against him, who, as one of the listeners this morning pointed out, I wish I could find her name. I'm sorry, I can't, but you know who you are. Talked about the fact that what got her, I think it was Deborah, is that he had his full weight of his body on his neck. His feet were off the ground. Whatever the defense brings out, it's indefensible. That's pretty much what everyone has said, including those who normally would stand by his side. And so I think there is a totally different conversation happening in white America about this that we may not be privy to. And it's just my guess that if I were one of those white jurors,
conversation? Yeah.
That again, it's like, you know what? That people that the country lost too much. It had already gone through COVID. We're coming out of COVID now, and do you want to lurch the country, back into a full blown out, you can't control cities to save this guy? Is this, to quote my old former co-host, is this the hill you want to die on? Probably not. It ain't like it's like Gandhi or like, I don't know, some nun. No, it's like Derek Chauvin. His name is almost, it might as well have been Derek Chauvinist. Like Derek Chauvin. No, this is not the guy that you, at a certain point, you have to stop and make a calculated decision. And I'm saying that I think that also weighs into it. And yet, I don't agree with Chief Ramsey that this is somehow a watershed moment in law enforcement culture shifting to what it needs to be. We have always, there's a chant that we have. Cops get really mad about it, but it's true. No good cops in a racist system.
That's right.
And they're like, but I'm a good cop. Okay. You know what a good cop looks like? What the chief just did. Get on the stand and say, he killed that man. And I fired him, and I want to see him go to jail. That's being a good cop. But we don't see that often enough. Right. And so to be a good cop, you need to do good police work. If you see a murder, stop it or arrest the person, even if it's your partner.
That's right.
Anyway, we got to take a break.
Or your training director. Because he was training those other cops that were out there, right? He was leading that team.
Oh, my God.
He was leading that team.
That part.
Yep.
That part. Derek, are you sure it's what we're supposed to be doing? Come on, I do it all the time. Jump on. We'll be right back on the other side of this break, folks. It's the Power Hour. Don't go anywhere.
Nappy style hair products are formulated for today's black men and women's hair, embracing ancestral hairstyles. Come and experience these products. Beard oil for men, cream paste, and napping gel growth oil for braids. Go to www.nappystyles.com or The Movement in Mount Airy, 7133 Germantown Avenue, or African Cultural Art Forum, 221 South 52nd Street, or Culture Exchange, 1450 Point Breeze Avenue. Be happy to be nappy.
Want the latest in Word swag? Check out the shop tab on WURDradio.com. Hoodies, tees, and more in a variety of colors. The shop tab on WURDradio.com. Show the world that you're all about black. Talk media.
Hey folks, WURD members are invited to tune in every second Tuesday of the month with me, Nick, for a chance to win a book bundle of the newest releases from Kensington Publishing's culturally oriented Dafina imprint.
Tune in every Saturday at 6 p.m. to Recovery Talk 101 with your host, Rick Ford, talking about addiction, treatment, and recovery, right here on WURD Radio. Now, a traffic update on WURD Radio.
Good morning. This report sponsored by ExpressPros.com. Looking at some volume getting busy. 295 northbound at 42. Right lane blocked, emergency construction. The reason 55 north Deptford into 42. Getting a little slow there. Southbound 95 Common to Bridge jammed through construction. Again, delays Allegheny through Girard northbound moving fine. Violet Expressway not bad through Center City as of yet. Schuylkill Expressway east to westbound also in pretty good shape so far this morning. Southbound Boulevard Route 1 some volume building broad down to Fox through construction. Express Employment Professionals matches people with the right skills with the right jobs from the production floor to the front office. You find the right person for your job. You can't beat Express's incredible local support. Visit expresspros.com to find the location near you. For more traffic information, log on to sigalert.com. Jim Bachman with your Philadelphia area traffic.
Now, a WURD weather update. Here's NBC 10 First Alert meteorologist Bill Henley.
Clouds are moving in today and will linger for much of the weekend with some chances of showers. A few sprinkles possible this morning, but mainly dry and mostly cloudy this afternoon, 65. Showers overnight tonight, but mostly just cloudy for Saturday, a high of 70 after a morning low of 50. Then it's Sunday that will likely start with showers and thunderstorms in the morning. A warm and humid afternoon, turning partly sunny and a high of 77. Then more showers possible Sunday night. I'm NBC 10 First Alert meteorologist Bill Henley.
You're listening to WURD Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD, independent black media.
Welcome back to the Power Hour with Mark Kelly Tyler and Dwayne David Royster. Hey, WURD family, WURD Radio, in partnership with the Colorectal Cancer Alliance, Independence Blue Cross Foundation, Penn Medicine, and LabCorp have teamed up to launch Get to Know. Get to Know is a new public health campaign to reduce colorectal cancer in the black community. Request your free, easy, at-home colorectal cancer screening test called a FIT kit. The FIT kit is designed to provide early detection of colorectal cancer. The FIT test does not require any fasting or colon cleanses, and it can be done in a matter of minutes. Most importantly, you'll learn how to make sure you and your family members can stay well and live a long, healthy life. Go to wordradio.com and click on the Get to Know banner or call 1-877-422-2030 to learn how you can get your free at-home FIT kit screening test. Please go out there and get that. We know colorectal cancer has a definitive impact on the African-American community. Get your free tests and get checked out today.
Wow, that's good to know. Free.
Yeah.
I mean, that is one of the diseases that is tough and vicious.
Indeed is.
Listen, so last night, just changing gears a little bit, but last night was a big night for Faith in Action. You know, Power is a part of Faith in Action, folks. Our national network used to be called the PICO Network, PICO, which was never a problem because PICO started on the West Coast, but I think maybe it would help to change it. When it came to Philly. We were like, yeah, we're here with the PICO Network. People were like, PICO?
The electric company?
They were slamming doors in our face. Like, we're here, we're organizers, we're community organizers, we're here to help things get together. Who are you with? We're with PICO. No, PIC. Click. Do you remember that in the early days?
I remember those days.
People hated us. They were like, man, don't trust them. They were PICO. They here to get your energy bill jacked up. But Faith in Action, so again, as I said, the first of all, the Live Free campaign with what happened with Biden's executive order on gun violence prevention and guns in general is going to have a big impact on some of that work. But there was also already a national call set up with Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer.
That's right.
And so they asked me, I was supposed to read like one little part. Everybody read a little part, you know. But then they asked me at the last minute, can you do a prayer specifically for Schumer? So, you know, and you know how we pray for folk, you know. Don't let him get weak, Lord. Stand him up in there. But yesterday was Holocaust Remembrance Day, which I, you know, with all the stuff in the news, just kind of got by me. Normally pay attention to that. So one of the rabbis on the call actually talked first. She's a young rabbi out of California, and she was talking about how her very existence, is in defiance of, the Nazis who wanted her gone, her and all of her kind gone from the earth. I mean, it was real powerful because she was weaving in her grandparent and great-grandparent stories, right, who had kind of lived through it. I had not heard the story about Schumer, though. So Schumer gets on, he starts talking, because, he's Jewish, and he's talking about his own family experience under Nazi Germany. And he said that he doesn't have many uncles and aunts because when they came for his family, his grandmother was told to bring all 33 family members out front and then to board the buses or the trains or whatever. He says she refused to go. Man, Schumer said they machine gunned the entire family on the spot.
Oh, my God.
Did you know that?
I did not know that. I was watching it, though. I missed that part of it. I heard your prayer, but I missed the part that when he said that.
Man, I'm like, God, it was such a, first of all, it was just such a, I was unprepared for it, and it just really kind of shifted the tone of everything else we were trying to do and just grounded, it just reminded us that this work is grounded in the reality that there are people out there who really want the worst for other people. And, as I was listening to him, I was thinking that this is why it's so important for us to stand together against all of these efforts that are, that are just anti-people simply because of who they are.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, these continued anti-Asian attacks in Chinatown here in Philadelphia, across the country. It's like, dude, there's a white guy who killed 6 Asian women. Why does that somehow make you then want to go and attack Asian people like they did something? I don't even understand how the mind operates that way. The attacks against folk who are LGBTQ plus, the anti-blackness that continues, the attacks against, brown people in this country and around the world. I mean, again, for me, it was just a sobering reminder that, that what Dr. King say, stand together as brothers and sisters or fall, separately, as fools. And so in this moment, we really need unprecedented levels of solidarity because I'm telling you, man, that spirit that took out Schumer's family is still present. And we saw a glimpse of it on January 6th. Folk who embody that spirit, remember, and I'm not saying folk who did that, but what I am saying is that not that Germany before it was Nazi Germany was a pretty modern society. And that's what surprised everybody when the entire thing was over and when Hitler's reign came to an end and people kind of stopped and reflected on the last 20 years or so, they were like, how did this just happen?
Right.
Because people sat back and watched minority group after minority group picked off. So let's get the gypsies first. Nobody's going to complain about us getting the gypsies. Everybody hates the gypsies. Let's get rid of the few black folk who are here. Nobody's going to say anything. Let's go after the gay folk. Nobody's going to say anything. Oh, now let's get the Jews. They might be a little bit bothered, but they ain't going to say nothing. We've gotten away with all the rest of it until, and that is how systems operate. So for people who say to us that, well, we're black, we shouldn't be concerned about that. That's not our issue. It is your issue. Don't wait until it comes to your door.
I mean, that reminds us of what Martin Niemöller's poem, right? When they came for the communist, I didn't say anything. When they came for the whole poem goes down. And last, when they came for me, there was nobody to say anything for me. Because, people had stayed silent the whole time. Actually, last night, right before the Faith in Action gathering, Power had a second political symposium that we did. We had hundreds of folk from across the state that joined us. And the part of the vision that we're laying out is this notion of building a new Pennsylvania, right? A Pennsylvania that is a multiracial democracy where we are standing in solidarity with each other. Rabbi Mordecai Liebling, who also recognized yesterday as Holocaust Remembrance Day, spoke a lot about the book, The Sum of Us, done by Heather McGee. We should get Heather on. I know her. And Heather was really talking about racism in America, and the way that we combat it is through a solidarity quotient, right, when we stand with each other in solidarity. And, you know, we have to have sincere solidarity as well. You know, one of the things that happened after the shootings in Atlanta, you know, everybody was rushing out to make these statements about the Asian American community. And, you know, we were getting ready to do one too. And then I thought about it for a minute, and I'm like, you know, I'm not going to put this out right now. One, because, I mean, everybody's doing it. It's kind of like the cliche thing to do. But two, we have to really ask ourselves the hard question, right? So, you know, power is really, it's black, it's white, it's Jewish for the most part, right? But we don't have a lot of Asian American folk that are a part of the organization. And that just made me stop for a minute and ask the question, why? Why don't we have more? Why haven't we built that solidarity with the Asian American community in the way that we should? And so, you know, we're getting ready to put a statement out, but it also reflects on the fact that we just haven't done enough in solidarity with the Latinx community. We haven't done enough with the Asian American community. We haven't done enough with the indigenous community that exists in the Pennsylvania region. And we need to dig deeper in those relationships. And we all need to find each other, which is hard, which is very hard.
So, man, that's, I mean, you just said it so very well. And I mean, and I think that is the point. And, you know, Connie says on Facebook, we as a people have to learn to run interference. And that's exactly right. Can we just stop using white supremacist talking points about other people?
Yes, please.
I'm like, can
black folk not beat up Asian American people, please? Like that woman in New York City. I'm like, dude, what are you doing?
Right. I mean, yeah, exactly. So you're going to take the talking points of white supremacy that have been used against you, and right. You know, they just come over and get our jobs. Come on, man. Seriously?
Right.
Like the jobs that your children don't want to do, that your kids tell you, I ain't going to go work there. That job, you mean?
Right.
Like, are you serious? No, stop it. I mean, we cannot, we can't abide by that. We have to stay together. And we're going to have to find, as you said, ways of working in deeper collaboration with folk. I mean, you know, I was so moved by the movie by Fred Hampton. I know we're up against the clock, but if you haven't seen it yet, check it out on Netflix. Yeah. But again, the idea that the part that Fred Hampton did that never gets talked about is that he was bringing in like poor white folk into the movement and bringing in the Latina community into the movement, and understood that he could not do it by himself. And in 2021, we cannot do it by ourselves. We've got to be together, I'm telling you. And so, man, hey, y'all have a great weekend. Enjoy yourselves. And be careful and carry your ID, even if you have to take out the trash, because, you know, you might run into the cops who say, is that the dude?
I hear you.
Probably.
All right. Thanks, everybody, for listening to the Power Hour. We'll be back on Monday morning with 6 a.m. to bring you the latest in news happenings around Philadelphia and, of course, our opinion. Thank you, for Kwesi, for holding it down. Thank you, Dr. Tyler, for everything you do. The special shout-out one more time for Twanda Starworth for filling in for the last week. We deeply appreciate you, Twanda. Listen, stay tuned for Wake Up with WURD with Solomon Jones. And do us a favor, family. Go out. Change the damn world, because if you don't, nobody else will. Peace.